Welcome to the Stephen Mansfield Podcast.
Welcome to the Stephen Mansfield Podcast. Great to have you with me, where we ponder the world, our current generation, through the eyes of faith, through the eyes of history, through the eyes of character and leadership. I want to talk to you in this podcast in a way that I rarely do. In this particular episode, I want to come with a heaviness I normally don't come with. I'm usually encouraging. I'm usually trying to report news that you don't know about, report stats, report trends, tell you about what's happening in D.C., where I live most of the year. But this time, I want to tell you some things you already know, but tell you why there's a dire warning in those facts. I want to come with a little bit of heaviness in this podcast. I am deeply concerned about the criminalization of politics. I believe that politicians should be tried in a political process, in an impeachment process, in a disciplinary process, by ethics committees and by their parties and on the floor of the House and the Senate. But I am deeply concerned about the current trend of prosecuting people in the courts for what you could not prosecute successfully in Congress or through the political process. You know very well that right now there are a great many indictments of former President Trump, everything from document mishandling to January 6th incitement, lying to the FBI, other things, all kinds of indictments. I'm not going to get into whether those are true or not. We certainly know that President Trump is the kind of guy who likes to pick a fight. He likes to be the bad boy. He likes to stir things up. He likes to misbehave. And one of the reasons he does is that his particular followers just rally to him all the more when he is under indictment, particularly by the left. And so he said recently, I am one indictment away from getting the nomination. I thought it was funny because he's making the point. The more I'm indicted, the more charges come, the more they come after me, the more my followers rally, the more people come to me. His contributions, the contributions to his campaign actually dramatically increased the first time he was indicted recently. I mean, it's weird. It goes back to the 2016 campaign where he said that he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and nobody would say anything. It's pretty much true. For some reason, Donald Trump is an outlier in American politics. Well, I'm not much of a Trump fan. I'm a conservative, and you know that, but I'm not much of a Trump fan. I don't think he's the best candidate for us. I don't think he's the best for America. I think he left us in trouble. I'm certainly not a fan of Joe Biden's, but the point is that I'm not much of a Trump fan. However, I believe that what's going on is that Democrats and the left are trying to accomplish through the courts what they couldn't accomplish in the Senate. And that's dangerous. Do we want a country in which our politicians are prosecuted? Or do we want a country in which they are charged and have many, many years-long political processes? No. I want to stop right here and say that one of my friends is Tom DeLay. And Tom DeLay, a man I wrote a New York Times bestselling book with, and he danced at my wedding. I love him dearly. I will tell you that he was charged with a crime that at worst was an accounting error. It had to do with matters back in Texas, not even up on the Hill. And Tom DeLay had been the House Minority Leader, a fine man, really good at growing the vote. People still love him in D.C. And I will tell you that years went by while he was fending off prosecution. It cost a lot of money. I think it robbed his wife of health. I believe that it did great damage to him, and it ended up being nothing. It was dropped. And here this good man, yes, a stalwart conservative, so half of D.C. is going to be ticked off at him. But the point is that he was not guilty of anything, and yet, but for the grace of God, his life would have been ruined by being prosecuted in this way. Now, the same thing is going in the other direction. I want to be bipartisan in what I'm saying. We now know that President Biden, back when he was vice president, jumped on the phone with some of Hunter Biden's business buddies and foreign governments and dignitaries and businesses, and did a little fundraising for his son, showed up and it was impressive. Hey, I can get the vice president of the United States on the phone. This put more money into Hunter Biden's pockets. And we all know that he's not a man of great character. And now we've got recordings of this thing. And so Speaker McCarthy is now talking about trying to launch an impeachment process against President Biden. Well, at least that would be the right place to do it through a political process. But I think it's silly. We all know this goes on. We all know Joe Biden does it. He's a professional politician. He is a glad-handing politician. He's done this and worse. We all know it. It's just well known in D.C. I will tell you that just to criminalize politics, to put people under indictment, why do this? We know it's not going to go anywhere. We know President Biden is not going to be impeached. We know he's not going to be removed from office. This is about the fact that we've got a presidential campaign coming up. Now, don't misunderstand. I'm not morally murky. If crimes are committed by people in office, they need to be charged. They need to be prosecuted. The House and the Senate need to get busy. They need to deal with these charges. They need to expose them. But sort of light, typical politicking kinds of things, although I'm opposed to it, don't misunderstand, these are not issues over which we ought to rend the country. And I will tell you, and I make this prediction, if Donald Trump is actually charged, tried, and put in jail, there will be blood in the streets in this country. That will be seen as such a political move because he is very much the front runner for the GOP right now. If the election's held tomorrow, he's got the nomination. And by the way, if the general election's held tomorrow, he wins at this point. Right now, at this point, he's slightly ahead. Now that we got more than a year before that's actually played out. But my point is, people are trying to head him off with legal processes because they couldn't head him off with political processes. But if indeed he's put in prison, if indeed he's found guilty, if indeed this is the way this thing goes, there will be blood in the streets. You think January 6th was something? That same crowd adores Trump, and there will be violence. I'm not saying we ought to be buffaloed by that. Just because there's violence doesn't mean we don't do the right thing. But the fact is that this rush to impeachment, this rush to the criminalization of politics is dangerous. It's not what the Founding Fathers intended. We started it. It's gone haywire. People are prosecuted. And by the way, there's a certain amount of hypocrisy going on here. The GOP knows they've got members sitting there on the floor who lied their way through elections. These people have not been removed other than from committee assignments, and they should be. They should be investigated and they should be removed. If you got through a congressional election and you lied in major ways, and that's been proven, well, then you didn't legitimately take office. And we should absolutely have processes for removing these people or sending the election back or recalling them. I know it can happen at a local level. It ought to happen on the Hill, too. Now, I'm just not on a rant here. I love my country. I care about politics. I believe politics is important. There are a lot of good and noble people up on the Hill trying to do good things, trying to be patriots. But this criminalization of politics, this doing by means of the courts what you couldn't do on the floor of the House or the Senate, is destructive. It is dispiriting. It is wrong-headed. And it will lead to a further rending of our country and even blood on the streets. Now, I have a lot of people in Congress and the Senate who listen to this podcast. I know who you are. I love you. I'm glad you're here. I beg you to fight this trend. I beg you to battle against this. Because this may feel good. Listen, I've got political opponents in D.C., people I don't care for, people I don't like, people I've had to oppose publicly in things. I've never held office. That's not what I'm saying. But people I've, debated or fought or been on the air with, or people I think are disgusting. But that's different than thinking that I should bombard them. I mean, I may not like them. It may even feel good when someone goes after them. But to try to ruin their lives, to rob them of wealth, to have a family devastated, to have children embittered for a generation or two, I mean, this is crazy. This is not the way it's meant to work. So let's find some character and let's find some nobility and let's cross the aisle a little bit and let's negotiate some things. And by the way, let's clean up our own house. Republicans and Democrats, clean up your own dang house before you go looking to the other side. We've got to be careful. We've got to be wise. We've got to care about our republic. We've got to have some statesmanship. Beat the hell out of each other all day. That's fine. But be like Reagan and Tip O'Neill. Be sociable at the end of the day. Know each other. Get in each other's lives. And let's stop this politics as complete bombardment and destruction. It will not serve the republic well.
Stephen Mansfield is a New York Times best-selling author, a popular global speaker, and senior fellow for public leadership at Palm Beach Atlantic University. His groundbreaking books on faith and society include The Faith of George W. Bush, The Search for God in Guinness, Mansfield's Book of Manly Men, and Lincoln's Battle with God. Learn more at stephenmansfield.tv.